right, if loving you is wrong, fans, that was episode 100 taken. Now, before going any further, we're 2 for 2. Two videos I requested 100 likes and you all exceeded it. So let's be bold. Let's go for a goal of 250 likes on this video. Just spitballing here because why not? So for this particular episode, I thought it was pretty good. Just hard to believe that, you know, there's only 2 episodes left and yet there's still so much that we don't know. But let's not think about that. Let's just talk about what happened in the last episode. So pretty much we pick up with Tanya's breakdown. We have what? Brad, Marcy, Terrell, Kelly, Natalie, Lucian, pretty much the entire neighborhood except for Esperanza, obviously. And Randall comes out and, you know, everybody's trying to figure out how they can help. Randall is the cause of this, but at the same time, he's like, you know what? Nothing's going to help her. You can, you know, you need my help, right? You know, like, can somebody get her some water? You know that water's not going to help. And then he just kept going on and on. He was taunting Natalie. He was taunting Marcy. And then pretty much Randall pulled an Eddie and started singing in a gospel-like tone. And I did jot down, I think, what he was saying. You could let me know if I'm wrong, but that ain't gonna help. I said that ain't gonna help. Oh, that ain't. And while he was just singing along, like it was the versus battle on Sunday this weekend. What was it? Kurt Franklin and Fred Hammond. You know, Tamala Mann came out of nowhere singing "Take Me to the King," but then Randall had his new smash hit. That ain't gonna help. And Bennett calmly, I think, talked to Kelly or Natalie's like, hey, can you hold this for a second? Handed him a glass of water. That ain't gonna, boom, knocked him square in the face. Randall went down. Not to jump ahead, but I don't think Randall got up again until the 25-minute mark of the episode, and that was only because Larry got him, because I think it was a running gag of the episode that whenever somebody came, I think it was for, like, first Terrell, then it was Ian. Hey, is he okay? Is anybody going to help him? Well, technically, the paramedics were the first ones. But in any case, Randall got clocked in the face. He went down. And as Smokey said, you got knocked up out. So Randall is down for the count this episode. We go over to Esperanza, and she's calling Steven about the kidnapping. He's sitting right across from Eddie at the at the police station. He rushes out. Next thing you know, she calls Eddie and asks if he had their daughter taken. Don't play no games with me. Eddie had nothing to do with it. And he, you know, goes off and then decides to come over to the house as well. And my thing is, Esperanza didn't even mention the fact that there was a van that zoomed off. I mean, that just took off in front of the house when she rushed out of there. She didn't talk about how she heard Mika screaming. She just kept saying Mika's gone. So it's like, aren't those some key details, Esperanza, that you should mention instead of just saying, where's our daughter? She's gone. Blah, 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 blah. So Esperanza called them both to come over. Oh, well. So Larry ends up walking in as Eddie's about to rush out and pretty much taunts him about, so, officers, there's still something you, officers, there's still nothing you care about. Eddie puts 2 and 2 together, realizes Larry's responsible for what happened. And he's like, you know what? If I get home and Mika's not there by the time I get there, I'm coming for your ass. You better bring my money. So he says, this should be fun. And I'm thinking to myself, keep that same energy, Larry. Keep that same energy. So the ambulance shows up and they get permission from Bennett to take Tanya away. I could not catch what the paramedic said because, like, hey, we're going to, I think he was like naming the location or the, you know, hospital or whatever they were taking Tanya. But before that, what got me about the scene was as soon as the paramedics stopped their vehicle, jumped out, basically they were like, wait, is this the person? He's like, no. Nat is like, no. He's drunk, referencing Randall's unconscious body in front of the house. And, you know, Tanya's like, you're the devil, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, you know, they had to do what they had to do. And everybody's, you know, telling Ben how sorry they are. And it's like, if there's anything, just let them know. And he's like, no, it's fine. Let me just grab some stuff. Then I'm going to go down there. And Lou's like, I'm just going to go check on him because, you know, obviously he's not okay. But, you know, this is probably the first, I mean, despite how crazy the block is, this is probably the first time that Bennett has been in a location where he and his wife weren't judged, because remember, he's torn up houses like he did with Randall before, but pretty much because I wouldn't say that necessarily people, or specifically men, were, you know, I guess you could say seducing Tanya or whatever like Randall was, but the way it sounded, it's like if anybody even said so much as gossip about, you know, them, he would just in a rage tear up shit. So I think this is probably the first time that a majority of the neighborhood was concerned, despite the fact that Tanya is walking up in people's houses. And the side note, correct me if I'm wrong, but in this episode, I noticed a increase of people knocking on the door as opposed to just bursting in, unless you count Eddie, because Eddie just, no, Steven walked in Esperanza's house, and then Eddie just burst in as well. But then you had, Terrell knocking on Kelly's door, and who else knocked? I think, was it Terrell twice? I gotta think. Well, anyway, I'm sorry. In any case, Marcy says hey to Kelly because this is the first time they've seen each other in a while, and she introduces her to Terrell, and you know, Marcy gives the face like, oh no, it's not like that, and she tells Kelly about how Alex is gone, left Brad with the kids, and then Marcy goes back inside. Kelly thanks Natalie for watching Justice and sorry about what happened between the, you know, the kids, what Eddie showed you. Look, I'm not sleeping with Lou. I was excited. He's a good man. I just was caught in the moment. And Natalie ain't hearing it. And she just like basically just come get Justice, and that's it. I'm like, that's a bit cold. Like, you know, I know I would be upset if I were Natalie. Like, let's say, you know, me and a friend of mine, like I got a girlfriend or whatever, or a fiance, and she, you know, my friend ends up kissing her for whatever reason. Yeah, I won't be pissed, but at the same time, it's like Natalie is just cold, and if anything else, it just shows her insecurities. But Kelly slowly walks back to her house. Terrell is just looking like, so y'all are just gonna leave him here like that? Kelly's like, hell yeah, ain't nobody helping his ass. Terrell's like, what the hell? So they go back in the house, and he talks about how crazy the block is, and you know, he's wondering about time and if they could fall in love with each other again. And they both kind of talk about how their time in jail was a time for reflection, and Kelly didn't even know if she would make it, which is crazy when you think of all the links she went through to get out of jail or just end her life, whereas Terrell just, you know, took it, you know, like a man. Well, not saying anything less of Kelly, because honestly, she still was traumatized from killing a man. But long story short, hey, go take a walk for an hour. I'll get Justice, tell him about you, and then you come back. So Terrell goes. Esperanza calls Natalie asking if Mika's there, but she's not. She says that Steven and Eddie are coming over. Natalie rightfully says, is it a good idea for them to both be there at the same time? No, it's fine, it's fine. And then Steven comes in. Steven has police at the police station looking for Mika. Eddie rushes in, screaming Mika all over the house, shoves Esperanza after they get into an argument about the whole thing. Him and Steven get into it. Esperanza, I believe, gets a pot of hot coffee and burns them both. Eddie is pissed off. He calls Larry and says he'll be home in an hour and you better have my money. Then Eddie drives off. Steven is, you know, cleaning up because obviously he had hot beverage on him. And Esperanza is just pissed to the max right now. And she gets an anonymous phone call from Mika's phone number saying that if Eddie owes us a lot of money. If he doesn't pay by midnight, you're never going to see your daughter again. And then Steven is like, okay, at this point, it's an FBI matter now. Esperanza's like, no, you ain't going to find him. All you're going to do is fight again. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, I'll take care of it. And then he leaves. So maybe it's a situation like in the Haves and the Have-Nots when Benny got abducted by, I forget the dude's name, the one with the accent. Remember when Benny got taken earlier this year because of Jim's money that Candace wasn't giving up? And because of that, Mitch and the Malones, Mitch got his family to save Benny at the last minute. I feel like the same thing might happen where Steven and, you know, the people involved will save Mika, which is kind of, okay, you said by midnight, so maybe they'll stretch out the suspense and we won't see Mika saved until midnight. Obviously, it is not midnight right now, so I'm thinking that we're probably not going into the next day in this series. I feel like the end of the series will be taking place during the same day, the same night, so I think I'm mentally prepared for that right now. So Alex is high at the bar. An old guy a trucker. I believe Johnny kept calling him Guy. So let's just say this trucker is Guy. We find out a lot. Basically, Johnny's dad would be disappointed in him, according to the guy, if he didn't give him Alex. Basically, it's almost like the Artesian Hotel. Escorts, or in this case, Johnny's a pimp, because I do think he says that in the trailer for the next episode. So Guy is taunting Johnny to give him Alex, because, you know, he's been with all these other women in here and stuff. So Johnny's like, no, she's a good girl. She's gone through a lot. She's not for sale. But he goes from like, what, a couple $100 to $1,000 to $2,000, and then he ups it to $4,000. And begrudgingly, Johnny takes the money and he tries to take Alex away. So Alex is still high on that coke and she tripping. But to be honest, if anything, this guy kind of reminds me of Alex's dad. Rusty, right? Rusty kind of gives me Rusty vibes, if you will. So I wonder if Alex wasn't high on this stuff, but was just, you know, Jennifer. Would she be into it? Probably not. But then she would probably have flashbacks to childhood. But Terrell goes to Pat looking for a place to stay. And at this point, Pat is just a one-note character, sass and rejection. In regards of, she's going to be sassy, rejects every man that comes to her looking for even a place to stay, and tells Terrell to take those slippers and walk back home. So Terrell does just that. There's literally nothing to take away in this scene. Ian sees Marcy. I believe Ian at this point was just going outside to see if Alex was at home. He looks over and is like, is he okay? And Marcy's like, oh yeah, he got knocked the F out. Don't worry about it. And Ian's like, yep, it's about time somebody did that. Brad comes out, obviously just being kind of a jerk, but thankfully he wasn't that much of a jerk outside. Ian hands over his DNA saying that, here you go. I got questions. I'm curious, just like you. Let's find out if I'm the father or you're the father or whoever the father is. Marcy is the peacemaker in this situation, saying, hey, would you like to go in and see him? Brad says, okay, that's fine. They go inside while they're taking a glance at Randall, who at this point, they do a close-up when they walk in the house, and I think you can hear Randall snoring. And they look at the baby. Marcy's like, wow, he actually kind of looks like you. And the baby is so adorable. And Ian's like, well, what we can do is, if you allow me to, we can swab his jaws, pretty painless. I can get it to the lab and we'll have the results in about a day, which again, are we even getting to the next day? I don't know. But Brad lets him do it. He gets the DNA and then, you know, that's it. But before that happens, you know, Brad is still an asshole. Like, oh, you know, big time lawyer, messing around with a married woman. But then Ian is like, look, on her profile, her name was Jennifer. She didn't say she was married. Basically, you wouldn't say you were married on the website like that, I would imagine. And Brad is like, would you be giving that same energy to every single guy on that profile if you met him in person like you're giving it to Ian? He did not know. Jennifer was looking for a good time. Never said she was married. So, dude, lay off. All right, so after that, we get to Larry showing up outside of Randall's house. He sees Randall. He helps him up. And Randall can barely remember what happened. Like, oh, man, my jaw hurts like hell. What happened? No, it was that big, tall bastard from across the street. And again, this is like at the 25 to 27 minute mark of the episode, and Randall's just now getting up. And he wants to sue him. And Larry's like, he doesn't believe Randall did nothing to, I guess you could say, earn Bennett's wrath the way he did. Because even when he's taken back to the house, like, I don't even know why he would do that. You know, I'm a nice guy. And I'm like, really, Randall? So I'm surprised Randall didn't bring up the fact that, oh yeah, I got footage and here you go. This is Bennett tearing up the house. I was surprised it didn't come up. But Larry isn't in the mood, basically because Eddie is their top priority. He talks about how, look, it's time to celebrate. Let's give him something to drink. Eddie took some money from me that belonged to powerful people, and now he's getting his just desserts. And then we go over to Kelly, who goes to get justice from Natalie and Lucian. And she thanks him, and he does as well. Natalie's still cold, and Lucian calls her out for it, rightfully so. And it's like, well, I got questions, and I got to settle something with her. And I'm thinking, let it go, Natalie. So after that, we go to, yeah, pretty much the rest of this episode focuses on Kelly, Justice, and Terrell. You know, Kelly and Justice get back home. They talk about how much they missed each other. And Kelly's like, look, I'm sorry I set a bad example. and I killed Travis, but that doesn't mean you need to get into fights at school over me because of what people are saying. And this is a very good scene because of the fact that it's realistic. Like, imagine if your parent or your sibling or whoever was on the news for a big crime. It must be hell for the relative that's in school, you know, every day that has to deal with, you know, because kids are cruel ass people. So basically, she talks about how you need to control your anger, and I don't want you out there thinking, you know, might makes right, that kind of thing. And I'm not saying murder is the answer, but at the same time, it was kind of justified because of all the hell Travis was putting him through, and nobody seemed to give a damn, and nobody was willing to help. So there's a difference between, you know, someone harassing, threatening you and stuff, because didn't even Justice say that Travis was sometime coming up to the window and talking to him? Yeah, your child's in danger, get the hell out, boom, versus somebody talking about your mom when you're in school. But you know, people have fought over lesser things. Terrell knocks on the door again, finally somebody who knows how to knock, and that doesn't necessarily mean Kelly's door was locked, but Terrell knocked. She went outside. It's like, look, I don't have a watch, I don't know how long it's been, an hour. And he goes in, meets Justice. It's an awkward moment because, well, Justice, as Kelly was saying, this is a lot to take in. He says, hey, I'm your dad. I've been in jail. Your mom said I shouldn't tell you. And I was like, that was a weird thing to kind of say, especially with Kelly, like, well, I want you to know everything. And I'm like, I'll tell you when you're older. So it's kind of like you contradicted yourself there. But Justice is devastated by all this. You know, I meet my dad. He was in jail. And look, we'll take it slow and get to know each other. But then it's like, oh, you're staying here too. Then he rushes off to his room. And Terrell, you know, crying, is like, look, I'm locking my door. Here's some sheets, stay on the couch. I'm thinking, finally, somebody mentioned that they're locking their damn door, even though it's just your bedroom. So then we end the episode with Larry walking through the parking garage, and Eddie slams his truck on him. So basically, Larry is trapped between the hood of Eddie's truck and the trunk of his car, and that's the end of the episode. So what would I rank it? I mean, this is a pretty solid episode, but I bet the last two episodes, it's just going to be jam-packed with stuff. I'm going to give this episode 9 out of 10. I think it was pretty good. So let me know your thoughts about Taken in the comments section below. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and everybody hit the bell notification icon. That way you don't miss out whenever I post new content. Also, check me out on social media. Links are in the description below. Shout out to the patrons over on Patreon. You can join in for as little as $1 a month to get content there you don't get here on YouTube. And also, if you would like to donate to the channel, not mandatory, but I'd appreciate it, feel free to do so on PayPal or Cash App. And with that being said, make sure you check out my trailer breakdown for next week. I Need a Hero.